I'm very impressed. Nice to see everybody. Feedback. Case 2, you did very well. I graded it last night. The average was 93%, which is very nice. I'm happy. And the median was 100%, which means that more than half of the class got a perfect score, 100%. I was very happy. The work was well done. However, we had 2 tests, 2A and 2B. The average for 2A was 96%, which is nice, but for 2B, only 90%. And what was rather strange to me was that these 2 questions, on average, about 3/4 of the class got it correct, and 1/4 didn't get it correct. But does this ring a bell? Yes, it should ring a bell. We did it in our tutorial session exactly a week ago, so I was surprised that only 3/4 of everyone got it correct. I have some test questions for you this week, and let's hope that at least the 2 test questions in every test, everybody gets it correct. This is your program for this week. It's a bit more work than usual. Last time we had a case and 2 tests. Now you have that, plus an idea assignment. So things are heating up, but I think you can do it. This is the module. And of course, there are 2 guidance videos for the case, 1 guidance video for the idea assignment. What I would like is for you to at least attempt to do it by yourself, and then look at the guidance video for confirmation that things are looking good, or if you get stuck. We have 2 chapters, and we have idea, and we'll do a little bit of idea this afternoon. Chapter 5 talks about a test following our Benford's Law tests. It's kind of like an add-on to Benford's Law. And chapter 6 talks about looking at outliers, numbers that are just out of the ordinary. And then we have idea that we're starting with. So let's just quickly, chapter 5. We talk about number duplications. It's almost like a numbers hit parade. The number duplication test, it's a hit parade. Which numbers have occurred most often? It is a reasonably good clue to tell us which specific dollar amounts were causing those spikes, those excesses on the first 2-digit graph. On the next graph here, this is an idea graph. We have highly suspicious and we have suspicious. The highly suspicious is just slightly darker than the suspicious. And these are the biggest deviations from Benford's Law. Those 3, the software is doing it for you. And you might remember one of your questions was, what are the 3 biggest spikes? What are the 3 biggest excesses? And the answer for you was it 50, 75, and 78? I think that's what it was. This is the number duplication result for the purchasing card transaction. So this is in our book. And we can see here, rank number 1, $4.75 occurred this many times, and the first 2 digits of that amount are 47. These are the number duplications in the purchasing card transactions in the example in the book. These numbers are very odd. You tell me what makes them look odd for purchasing card transactions.
The even dollar amounts?
The even dollar amounts. It really is very strange as to why we have so many, and especially that even dollar amount there of 2,500. That's the limit at which we need authorization to charge more to the purchasing card.
Wasn't the other anomaly the 475, and that was like, I want to say it was like a surcharge amount for every like purchasing gift card or something like that, because that's the highest right there.
So I saw that, and I in fact looked that one up, and so it is the oddest, and at least I'd want to know what it is. It seems to be a charge that was levied by an an internet site when you wanted to look up something. And I think it was something to do with medical expenses. It seemed okay after I looked at it. You're going to do your own number duplication, and we will also do a little bit of a number duplication before we finish today. Which ones would I investigate? The amounts linked to large positive spikes on the first two-digit graph. So here we go. The biggest spikes are 50, 47, and 24. So I'd go to this list, and I would care about numbers beginning with 50, 47, and 24, and there are no numbers on that list that begin with 24. A number is just below thresholds, and in this case, I would care about the 2,500 because it is the number at which we need to get authorization. Below psychological thresholds, 99 is just below psychological threshold, and we'll look at that again in a moment. Large round numbers, we see we have the 2,500 and we have the 1,000. And lastly, odd numbers. And fair comment, this 475 is what I call just a strange number to have occurred that many times. These are the 99s. I hauled out all the numbers beginning with 99. I sorted them from largest to smallest, and we have huge dollar amounts over there coming in just below 100,000, a lot of them for a tree service. I'm not going to go into why this is. We can do that in another tutorial, but it's terribly odd and it's terribly big, and it is just below 100,000. The last two-digit tests, also a nice test for number invention, and in the purchasing cards example, huge numbers of numbers ending in 00. So round dollars with no cents. I don't know about you, but when I use my credit card, I don't know if 1/3 of the numbers end in 00. I think less. These are the outliers. And so let me go here. This chapter is looking for outliers, and my first test is a rather strange one. It's called the summation test. In general, when I do these Benford's law graphs, they're based on the count. We are counting how many of the numbers start with 10, how many of the numbers start with 11, how many of the numbers starting with 99, and you can see the label over there, it's a count. But what the summation test does, it looks at the sum of the numbers. So it will give a graph where we look at the sum of the numbers beginning with 10 divided by the total sum. The sum of the numbers beginning with 99 divided by the total sum. And here is the purchasing card example. What we can see is that the sum of the numbers beginning with 24 is much bigger than all of its neighbors. And the sum of the numbers beginning with 99 is much bigger than all of its neighbors. So these two numbers are sticking out from the crowd. This is telling me that the numbers beginning with 24 and the numbers beginning with 99 are big. And let's see about big errors here. I've used this one for quite a long time now. Kenneth Steen of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Anybody know Ken? Nor do I, but I do know Chattanooga. I've visited there twice. Was expecting a $513 tax refund. He got a letter from the IRS saying that he owes the government $300 million and 7.57 cents. It's mind-boggling. 3,000 other people got similar notices showing a balance due of $300 million and change. A few things come to mind. Number one, the IRS is very lucky that this error was a balance due of $300 million and change, and not a refund in error of $300 million and change. I ask you hypothetically, taxpayer gets an erroneous refund on Saturday, May 27th for $300 million. Where does the taxpayer live next week and Tuesday?
Switzerland.
Any answer is good enough. The correct answer is not in the United States. He is gone. Number two, when we multiply $300 million by 3,000, we get an amount equal to 10% of the gross domestic product of the United States of America. You would think that if they made an error equal to 10% of the gross domestic product of the United States of America, that they'd pick it up, but they didn't. So what happens is these numbers are very big, and there are a lot of them, and this would cause a summation graph to go off the charts. Here's another very big error. Denise lived in Ohio. Denise was expecting some kind of refund for 2 cents, but instead she got a refund for $200 million. Denise lives in Ohio and Denise gets $200 million. Where does Denise live on Tuesday?
Not
Cork.
Ohio.
Not in Ohio. She gives woofie to the neighbors and she's out of here. Thank you. Here's another one. So big errors happen, and the summation test will be our friend to detect it. Again, we can see that these 99 numbers are very big. And if we go back to what we just saw a while back, we can see that indeed, the numbers beginning with 99, there's not one very big number, but there are a lot of huge numbers. And this is amazing for a purchasing card. 99,999.99. You'd expect the card to be smoking and to melt. The 2 4s. So the 2 4s are coming in just under that $2,500 threshold. I think they can do it at $2,500, but here are people who say, well, I'm not going to be right at the threshold. I am going to be under the threshold. And just help me out here. I want to see that you're with me. They're coming in below the $2,500 threshold, and they're coming in below the threshold by how much?
1 penny.
1 penny. And we're going to see 1 penny again later today. I love this test. You can pause the recording, or you can just look in the book. The largest subsets, in other words, form groups, form subsets, and then just give me the largest. And a group could be an employee's overtime. Total everybody's overtime and give me the largest, well, I would say the largest overtime person. Here's another one. These were employee reimbursements for travel. Just total everybody and give me the largest person. This is an airline in Dallas. We looked at credit card numbers and we just wanted to say who's getting the largest refunds. What happened here is a hotel clerk, everybody that came in and that didn't have it was either a Holiday Inn number or Marriott number, what he did was he just assigned his number to the person. And so he racked up an awful lot of stays at the hotel. And right at the top there, it says, people don't know when to stop. The largest subset's growth is similar. It just says who grew by the most. And we'll see this in some of the other cases in the book. They don't know when to stop. The fraud snowballs and gets bigger by the day. This is largest subsets growth. We have the first period, we have the second period, and we look at the two amounts and we calculate the increase as a percentage, I just caution you that you might get things like this. $3 in the first period, $622 in the second period. We get a huge percentage increase, but in dollar terms, it's not that big. So if I ran this, I would refine the test so that I looked at the largest percentage increases, but I excluded those cases where the first period had a low number. So we've had today, just give me the largest subsets, the largest growth. The summation is count, at least give me the sum of all the numbers with the specified first two digits. The last two digits, very nice for invented numbers. The number duplications is my numbers hit parade. We did the first two digits last week and we'll do more of it coming up. And the descriptive statistics are part of your one case for today. And we did the histogram, I think we did. Okay, so this is coming up at the end. We'll look at this. We're doing quite well on time. And so I want to introduce you now to some real world analytics and a little bit of idea. Does the name George Santos ring a bell?
Yeah, he's actually from the county I'm from in Long Island. He's from Nassau County.
Well, this is very interesting because we are going to look at George Santos's numbers today. Not all of them. We'll sort of spread it over 2 weeks. Santos, you can read the bit over there. Nice big smile. One of the newest members of Congress. Fallon, is he in your district or just in your county?
I mean, I think he's also in my district. So I'm from Long Island, New York, and I forget exactly where he's from, but he's in the same county that I'm in. Yeah, I don't live there anymore. I moved out when I was 14. I live right outside of DC now.
Okay. This is what The Economist says. You can read that. And basically, it's a well-written article. And what they say there is, we tend to vote for people just because of very small reasons. So it could be that we have a town and lots of people are from a country in Europe. And somebody else says, I'm running for Congress. I'm also from that country. And we vote for them for one small reason, such as that. The Wall Street Journal said, no way. You can read at the top there, got to go, but he doesn't really want to go. I'm going to run this, but what I will do in the recording is I will edit it out of the recording. So if you are watching the recording and you want to see this, you can look it up or click on the link. And you can see that it's Tucker Carlson show. And as you can imagine, Tucker Carlson, well, he's got his own problems now. We're going to have a look at George Santos's expenses. And this is where I got it from. You can see there, Federal Election Commission, fec.gov. We are going to search all campaign finance data. Once you click there, you can just go down and put in the candidate or the committee's name. Once I got into the right name, we can then change the time period from, it gives you 2024 as the default. I changed it to 2022. There it is. And I saw something happen here with the Political Action Committee. Not sure what that's all about. However, I did get his financial summary for his election to Congress. These are the total receipts, $3 million and change. It comes from various sources, including a loan that is a bit of a problem for him now. But I'm more interested in the total spent. So we have operating expenses there. We can see something $3 million and change. And you can actually click on Browse Disbursements, and you can see his disbursements. So we have everything listed there. I prefer the process data because they've gone through it and they've taken out duplicates and the like. And I did an export. I then came and got everything into, there we go. I got everything into Excel, and it looked something like this. I have all these expenses. If I go home and home, I get down to row 1561. So there are 1,560 expenses. And then what I did was I tidied it up. Oops. And so I just kept what I need. I need the name of whoever he paid the amount to, the state, description, the date, and the amount. And this is sorted from smallest to largest. So we start off with $1.17, and we end up at the bottom of the page with the highest dollar amount. So this is what I'm looking at. Now we go into idea. And we'll just run 2 tests. This is idea. Have you fiddled around with it a bit? Have you opened it up? I get a nod. Fallon, you've looked? Katie Hoffman?
Yeah, I was a little overwhelmed though.
Okay, so we'll actually do something live, and I certainly hope it goes smoothly. Here we go. By the way, these things here, I'm working through the workbook. So this is the workbook over here. You only really have to go to page 19. I know it said 23 or something like that, but I'm working through the workbook, and those are my workbook files. I'm now going to import George's data, and it's here, home, import. There we go. And the same as with you, it's going to be an Excel file. And now we need to point to the file. And in my case, the file is, you see, I'm working on the idea projects here. Santos. And this is the file where I simply kept the fields that I'm interested in, open, and I'm going to go next. First row is field names is good. Imports, empty cells is 0, they're none of them. And this is the one that I want. Santos expenses, here it is. And I'm going to go, okay. Looking good. I've now imported his campaign expenses into IDEA. I used home import. I used Excel. I pointed to the file, and I just had to answer a few things about first row is field names and the like. Does this look familiar? It should look familiar. It should look Excel-ish. Katie, you've seen this?
I started working on the case like a couple minutes before this started, so I've played around in it a little bit. But...
Okay. So we can go through it a little bit. So we don't have to rush through this. We have a bit of time. In fact, we have a whole long weekend, so I'm fine if you are. These are his expenses. I now have the file over there. And what we are going to do is we will go and look for all the expenses. Here we go. All the expenses that are just below $200. And why do we care about $200? Because if we look at the rules, Federal Election Commission, recording disbursements, best efforts to document. If a treasurer fails to receive a receipt, an invoice, or a canceled check that are required for disbursements exceeding 200, he or she can demonstrate blah, blah, best efforts. Disbursements exceeding 200. For each single disbursement that exceeds 200, the committee must keep a receipt, an invoice, or a canceled check. Can you summarize what these are here? Receipt, invoice, or canceled check? It's documentation. A receipt, an invoice, or a canceled check. We want documentation when it exceeds 200. Well, let's go have a closer look at George. I'm now going to go here and I'm going to go analysis, extract. It's going to be a direct extract. Here we go. Records to extract all. The file name is going to be, what should we call this file name here? We'll do voucher required. We'll go into the calculator over here, and it's opened it up on the next page. There we go. And I want all the numbers that are just below 200. And so my formula is going to be, I want to extract all those cases where the amount, I'm clicking on amount, equals. And just below 200, we are going to do 199.99. Have we seen cases of coming in just below 1 penny below? Yes, we saw it 10 minutes ago with all those 2,499.99. So here we go. We're going to look for Santos, amount equals 199.99. The nice thing is we can validate over here. It just tells me that the equation is valid. It doesn't know whether this is really what you want, but it knows it can understand it. And here we're going to go validate and exit. There we go. The fields that I want to keep, I'll keep all the fields and I will do OK. And there we go. We see 37 transactions, all for $199.99. I want to sort it. How is it? Oh, it's sorted by name. Anybody give me want to resort this? I'm going to sort it by date ascending. And so what we will do here again is data sort. The field at the moment is sorted by name. I'm going to sort it by date ascending, in which case we'll get groups, and we'll do file name will be voucher sorted, and we'll do OK. Now we have it sorted by date. You know, I wish I knew how I could zoom this. There must be some way to zoom it. But even if I could zoom it, I would only be able to zoom it by maybe 25%. Let's see if we, there we go. And so now we have all these ones coming in just below 1 penny below $200. I'm going to ask you to look at it for 1 minute or thereabouts and tell me which ones seem most suspicious to you. So just take 30 seconds, have a look.
El Baco restaurant.
Yeah. Rose 28 and 29.
He really likes that restaurant.
And the ones in Florida, I have questions about.
So the two, same date, same restaurant, both $199.99. There's one that's jumping out to me, something to do with JFK.
Parking?
The parking. And it should be an easy matter to look
Can I
at.
ask you another question?
I just want to, I'll come back to you. Just let me finish my sentence here. It would be an easy matter to go and look at JFK's parking schedule and come to the conclusion that with no stay would ever equal $199.99, because you can see the hourly charge, and you can see the daily charge, and you'd know that that number is impossible. But I'm ready for question.
Well, I was going to say, you asked about things that were odd. If you go the one above it, you know how much clear pricing is because it's public.
Yes.
And clear pricing is not $199.99.
Quite correct. Clear pricing is not $199.99. It is also another case of something that is. And just Seth, clear is going through the airport quicker, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not $199.99.
Yes.
No matter how many people you add, it's public how much it is.
Yes.
Also, why is he paying for parking if he's getting an Uber and he's taking this Uber from California, and also New York? And I imagine, yes, they're expensive, but there's no way that you're paying that much for an Uber fee unless you're coming from I don't know, you're going to LAX and you're coming from, I don't know, in Northern California.
Quite right. You can be on,
Spokane, yeah.
you can be on my team any day. So to have Uber and parking, they don't go together like oil and water. They don't mix. You either Uber or you park. And for Uber to equal exactly $199.99, I cannot believe it. Number one, it's a really long trip. I don't know if you know where I live, but I can get from here to Pittsburgh Airport for less than $199.99. So it is a very long Uber trip.
Can you tell me, can you confirm when it says state, that's not where he charged it, that's where the company is located?
I would believe yes. I think that would be the headquarters of the company, and Uber sort of confirms it. Uber's headquarters is in California, even though.
Well, because I asked, because on number 24, Hyatt would be Illinois.
Yes.
If you go in that pattern of all the other ones.
Yes.
And Walmart would be Arkansas. So the pattern of the state does not match.
Quite right. And I remind you here, because you can also be on my team any day, that this is simply information that they furnished to the Federal Election Campaign Commission. This is not the actual credit card transaction. So quite right. So they are being inconsistent, and other things don't make sense.
Also, the office supplies, that's really excessive that he's spending that much on office supplies.
Yeah, but the chances of the office supplies exactly equaling $199.99 are slim.
And the fact that they're just a day apart as well, but did you realize that you needed one day later that was also $199.99. Like
Are you, which lines, those two or which other ones?
34 and 35. Like, why wouldn't you just order both on the 27th?
Yeah.
And the other thing that doesn't make sense is if you go to line 3, how did he get there?
Well, of course, remember there are other expenses in the database as well. So we're just looking at the $199.99s.
Gotcha. Okay, I got you. Sorry.
But fair comment. This is a learning experience.
I also want to know how he got tickets for $199. As someone who flies 8 times a month, my tickets are not $199.99.
Quite right. Quite right. And I enjoy Southwest Airlines, and they used to be cheap, but the
Not anymore.
emphasis there is used to be they don't charge $199 either. Delta, American. So these are all highly suspicious, and the only way that we would really be able to draw some firmer conclusions is to look at a few other people, or we could look at the database as a whole and see how many times other people end up spending exactly $199.99. And I can only assure you now that this is highly excessive. So we've done that one. And there's more. Here we go. In our book, we have that test there, and we are going to look for exact duplicates. And I'm just checking my notes here from, okay. We are going to look for cases where George, and this is idea. I need to close this X. I need to close this because it will act on whichever table is open. We are going to look for cases where George spent the same amount on the same date. We are going to ignore expenses under $75. So we're going to look at larger data numbers, same amount, same date. And here we're going to go analysis. And I did practice this before, but let's go duplicate key detection. There we go. Output duplicate records. We'll take all the fields here. Criteria. We are going to go where amount. I want the large amounts. You think we should go amounts greater than or equal to 75? We go larger than. We'll make it amount greater than or equal to 75. I do here. And now we are going to do key. Here we go. We want same date, same amount. We'll do OK. And we'll take all the fields in the output. Okay. Again, same date, same amount, only for amounts greater than or equal to 75, and we'll do OK. Here we go. Now what we have is we have same date, same amount, but we have, it looks like a bit of a mess here because it's sorted by date ascending, and each match is on 2 lines unless there are 3 that are the same, in which case it will put it on 3 lines. So here we go here. These are all matches. So there you can see Uber, California, taxi fare twice on October 12th, the day after my birthday. I need to sort this to get a better feel for what's happening. Anybody want to suggest the sort order? Let's sort by
By
amount
amount.
descending. So we get the highest at the top. We'll go amount descending, and we have to keep the matches together. So we'll do date descending as well. So we go here, data, sort. We will go amount descending, and then to keep the matches together, we'll do date descending, and we'll hope that this keeps everything together. And we'll go file name, sorted dupes. We'll do OK. Here we go. And I just remind you that what's happened here is the data that I looked at was process data. There it is. So they have taken out any obvious duplicates where it's simply entered twice. It's all very odd.
The ones in Vegas are the oddest.
Yes. And here we go. I can see Nevada. And there we go. Ah.
Well, then the ones underneath those too, Uncle Giuseppe's and Campaign Strategy.
But I'm going to stick first with your first comment here.
Okay.
So you travel a lot, and so do I. Does the hotel charge you on November 19th, and then you stay in the hotel and they charge you again on November 20th? Or
No.
when you leave, you pay once?
Once.
We pay once, quite right. Even at Uber.
Well, and the same with the airlines, you pay once.
You pay once.
So right above it, all those airlines make no sense to me.
Yes. You can be traveling with a business associate, but yeah.
Would it be an aggregate total of all the duplicates?
We can do that. And we've even got the 199s duplicated on this restaurant here again. So I like that question. We're just going to be sticking with idea, and we want to get an aggregate total. I can get a total here, and we're going to go into properties, open up here, open up. Where is it? And I'm looking for property.
On your far right further, it looks like. By the X.
Thanks. It's nerve-wracking to do this live. So here we go. This is the one opened. We can go field statistics. Not available for all fields. Do you wish to create? We'll go yes. And now we go net value and absolute value. Since those two are the same, it means there are no negative numbers. And so the total of all those duplicates is the number that you see over there. And now, please, I need to get back to my data. I know I can get back there clicking here. Usually you can have both open. There we go. I'm back at the data, but we can go to field statistics again. I need to This is the sorted duplicates, the total again, 63,921. I need to get back to my data.
Could you just exit out using, yeah,
Yes. Here.
yeah, maybe? No?
Data, thank you. Okay, and I wanted the duplicates and I wanted the sorted duplicates. There we go. It's all very odd. Office rent. It's all very odd.
What if you ran the Benford's law? It would tell you, would it give you the graph like we have in our homework?
Yes. His Benford's law graph is so bad that it is hard to believe Benford would be turning in his place of rest. What also upsets me is when I see entries like that. I don't know if you can read the screen, and you just tell me why.
It's got a different spelling in the description.
Quite right. It is an incorrect spelling of taxi fare. And when I see things like that, it just shouts of amateur. And we really don't want campaign expenses to be run by amateurs.
Well, and you also know that he's in New York, so it's either New York or California. You will basically go 2 blocks at $5.44.
Yes. So I'm very happy. We will do Benford's law, and I was going to, here we go, just to show you here. I was going to keep Benford's law for next week. That means next week, but we'll do it this week. Why not? Benford's law there. Okay. Field to analyze amount, which is what I have highlighted. We're going to keep positive numbers because we analyze positive and negative differently. We'll keep these boundaries. We'll create a result called Benford, and I really only care about first and first two. I'll keep the suspicious in here, and we will just go, okay. Would you expect campaign expenses to follow Benford's law?
Yes.
Yes. It was your answer to one of the questions in case 2. Generally, accounting and finance data follows Benford's law.
And we have that this week.
Not for Mr. Santos. So the first, just with a naked eye, doesn't look too bad, but we're going to go to the first 2. And so the first digit is that little tab there. The first 2 is that tab, and it looks like that. It is absolutely awful. The mean absolute deviation at 004 is essentially off the charts. I should know where this is in my own book here. The first 2 digits, when it's above 0022, it's already non-conformity. So above 0022, this one here is 0042. I don't want to exaggerate. It's nearly double. It's nearly double what we would take. It would have to halve before we even had marginally acceptable conformity. It's off the charts. The most highly suspicious are the 50, the 75, and the 25, but you can see the 19 over here. We have a huge spike at 19. It is one of the suspicious, and we know what's causing those 19s. It is the,
Well, you don't want to go over 20.
it's the 199.99.
Yeah, right. You don't want to go to 200. Right.
All of those 199.99s is or are causing that spike over there.
And that's the limit because you don't want to go to 200.
It's the internal control threshold for keeping a voucher, receipt, or canceled check.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So you've jumped ahead to next week, but I'm okay with that. So we go back here. We go back to George Santos. And so here we go. I kept this blank because this is going to be my table of the 199.99s. This is the same, and I would have to somehow summarize that table of all the duplicates, same date, same amount. This was a headline not too long ago in the Wall Street Journal, and this was a headline, as you can see at the top. There's hope for our country. We don't have to make America great again. It's not that bad, because as you can see, United States Attorney's Office, you can read that. Wednesday, May 10th. And we will do a little bit more with Santos. I went into Pacer. You'll have to look this up if you like. I'm going into George Santos defendant, and not California. I'm going this one here, New York Eastern. I got the case, and this is indeed his indictment. So we have a bit more time. We're going to go over it, but I'm happy we did the Benford's Law. We're just going to go back and look at our two tests, and I hope you've enjoyed that. I'll cut the recording in a few minutes, and then we can just chat about it if you like, and it'll be off the record and interesting. So the only point I want to make is that his name, of course, is George Santos. And the last thing that anybody would ever want to do if they were a politician was to have a name that sounded quite a lot like Santos. Just ask him. Today we did threshold numbers. We looked at his 199.99s. And you know, in and of itself, it's not a lot of money, but this is a big clue that he's pushing the envelope. We looked at abnormal duplications, and we looked at the field statistics. This was supposed to be for next week, but we jumped ahead. We did the field statistics. Oh, we need to look at completeness. We did look at Benford's Law, and we will also look at some other non-numeric anomalies coming up. And now for your reward for hanging in there. This is test 2A. These are 2 questions from 2A. The only way I can make it easier is to go back into the test and write, this is the correct answer next to the correct answer. But let's see if I don't have to do that. The first one, the last 2 digits from 00 to 99, the answer is?
100.
Correct. The answer is 100. The last 2 digits are like the cents in dollars and cents, and they are 100 cents to the dollar, making the answer 100. I just remind you, the answer is not necessarily C. I've programmed the computer to randomize things. The answer is 100, and in your case, it may be either one of those options, A, B, C, or D. The neighborhood pub, if anybody's near Philadelphia, please take a photo of that pub. It's a case in the book. The amounts charged included
Outliers, round numbers, and last digit duplication.
beautiful. Outliers being very big numbers. round numbers. There were a few round numbers, and not last two, last digit duplications. He liked 8s and 9s. So the answer here is C, but for you, the answer might be whatever one that is. It might be A, B, C, or D. Outliers, round numbers, and last digit duplications. Test 3B. Now we've seen this before, and we had a question asking you how many combinations in the first 2-digit graph. And now I'm asking you how many combinations in this summation graph. Making the answer for number 1 it's the same answer as before. The same answer as before, 90. They start at 10 and go to 99. There are again 90 combinations. And now it says, imagine we have a data set and all the numbers begin with 30. What is going to be the height of the bar in this summation graph at 30? All the numbers begin with 30. The height is going to be
It'd be 1, wouldn't it? Because 100% of them begin with 30.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Just to confirm, the answer is 1. And just to confirm again, your answer could be A, B, C, or D. It's whichever of your answers is 1. Whichever of your options is 1. In your idea case, and just remember, you do have the guidance video, and the guidance video, if I must say so myself, is very helpful. You do have something here about the average of the data set and the average of the sample. You're working with a sample. The complete data set is what we use for Excel. The question is, are those two equal? The short answer to that question is, would you expect it to be equal? No, but you would expect it to be really close. And if you want to read up more on that, you'll be able to see this in the recording. You'll be able to see that link, and you have a whole discussion of what you see in the heading there. You should have no real problem with downloading IDEA and installing IDEA. I generally don't have problems with that, except if you have a Mac. And if you have a Mac, you do have to send me an email and ask me for what Plan B is. Generally, what happens is people do not like Plan B, so they find a friend with a Windows computer and they use their computer just for the few weeks just to do the IDEA assignment.